Hey kids, what's happening? I'm looking over my chicken scratch plan here for the table that I'm going to make. I told you I'd keep you up to breast on this furniture. Show you what I got so far. I took the old barn truss that I had and I quartered it and I made 4 legs. Now I've been working on the legs, and as you'll see, these ones I've got a nice taper on them around on the end. These ones I still have to do, so I have the circle penciled in there, but I've got to continue tapering these two. And the way I'm doing it might, I'm sure there's a method to do this properly, but I just kind of use my saw here and I hand angle it, and I just start cutting away, going around and around, getting the angle on it until I get it close to my circle, and then I take it over here and I finish it with my random orbital sander to get the nice round, and that'll be the base of the legs. So it'll sit, like this. And then for the top, I used my oak plank there, and I cut two 2-foot pieces, and I doweled those together and glued 2 pieces together to make this about, I think, 10.5, 11 inches wide by 2 foot. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 2-inch, and that'll go like around the outside of it like that to trim it. So that'll just make it another 1.5 inches wider than what you see here. So that'll make a nice tabletop. I still have to sand this down to get this seam. It'll pretty much disappear once I get it sanded, but I got a lot of sanding to do on that. I got to finish the legs and then I can start figuring out how I'm going to assemble this thing. And I still got a middle shelf to build on it too. Now, the main piece of equipment I use is my table saw. I love this thing. It's a Ryobi, and it's just a cheap thing. It's mostly all plastic. The on and off switch broke years ago, so I have to just plug it in to make it run. Yeah, I always wear my safety glasses when I'm cutting, because you still get wood chips in your eyes if you don't. It has this adjustable fence, which is fairly accurate. And then I can put this on here, which is a perfect 90-degree cut if I want to do that. So that's a very important piece of equipment. The other things I have, I do have this old chop saw. It's an old Craftsman chop saw, but it's damaged and it doesn't cut accurately. If you're doing rough cut stuff, zing, it'll cut a 2x4 or a 2x6, but that's about it. Yeah, it's a Craftsman. It's old, and it's not accurate. It won't cut a perfectly, straight cut anymore, no matter how much you play with it. It's just not a very quality piece of equipment to begin with. But I do have my rigid or orbital sander, and I don't know, I think I got like a 60 grit on there right now for taking down, rounding off those chair legs, or the table legs, I mean. Oh, here's the ends of that, of those truss braces, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean, I already cleaned them up, I scrubbed them, but I'm going to put the dowels back in once they dry off, I scrubbed them real hard with a scrub brush and water, and the black dirt just came off of them. So I'm going to put the dowels back in, and then I'm going to finish them, and I'm just going to use that as, you know, like a conversation piece. I got just 2 of them, so those will just sit on the table somewhere as a conversation piece. But anyway, I've got this Craftsman router. It's a nice router. I like using it. It's accurate. It does a nice job. I got a couple different bits for it. So that's an important piece of equipment that I have. I'm always amazed at what I can do with just my power equipment, my hand power equipment. I got a lot of stuff down in here. I've got this DeWalt electric impact wrench. I've got this old Craftsman jigsaw, it is a saber saw. And a lot of those blades, they snap really easily, but you can cut, you know, circles or different. I mean, that blade will wrap around and cut if you're careful with it. So I use that frequently. A heat gun. And then I have a rigid skill saw that I use. I also have an old Craftsman skill saw too, but I don't use that one anymore. I should get rid of it, but people aren't buying that stuff, and I could put that on the marketplace and it'll just sit there. I could put it on the marketplace for $5 and nobody will buy it. And some of my other hand tools, I've got a large industrial Craftsman 1/2-inch drive electric drill that'll take your arm off if you're not careful. I've got a Milwaukee high-speed grinder with some different blades for that too, and courses. My Dremel tool that I use, Dremel tool, very nice, handy for doing finer work. It's a Dremel 4300. The other thing, I also have like bits that are like diamond bits for this, for like carving into stone or stuff like that. So it comes in real handy, and I currently have a little wire brush on there now, and I was using it for finish work on the bike, for like getting in between the fins on the engine. It took some of the crap off of there and cleaned that up. But the Dremel is a real handy tool to have. I got a paint spray gun too for my air compressor, but I rarely ever use it because I've never been that good at painting. I've got an older Dremel that doesn't work so well anymore. I think it only has 1 speed now. And then my rigid cordless drill, which I use very frequently. It's been very handy, good, nice drill for me. That's where my orbital sander goes. And I've also got this Dremel, which is an interesting tool, a multi-max tool. So basically what it is, it has different like blades on it, and it vibrates back and forth real fast like that. So depending on what you're using it on, sometimes it works really well and sometimes it works terribly. It also has an attachment for sanding. And it has these little triangular sanding discs, so you can like sand into a corner with it, because it goes with these little sandpaper things. So it's a handy tool for different purposes, but I rarely ever use it, to be honest with you. Once in a while I find a need for it, but not very often. The only other thing I have here is a soldering iron, which comes in handy for like electrical work or whatever. But that's it for. I think that's pretty much it for my power tools. Um, the rest of the stuff, I've just managed to figure out some way or another without having a whole shop. I don't have a drill press. I don't have a bandsaw. I don't have a planer or a joiner. I don't have any of that stuff. So I pretty much have to do a lot of handwork. I even have a block plane, that like a hand plane that you can, peel off level things with, that I use once in a while. But those are a little tricky. A block plane, you have to keep razor blade sharp, and you have to have the adjustment just right for it to peel off, the right of lumber. And if you don't have it set just right, you can do more damage than good. Anyway, that's where I am. Today I'm going to continue on. I was going to ride all day today, and it's been raining. I woke up this morning and it was raining, and it's like a mist coming down right now. I went out this morning for breakfast, and the roads are wet. There's puddles on the roads, and I didn't want to take the bike out and get it all trashed up. So yeah, I'm going to stay in today. I'm going to work on my table. I told you I'd keep you up to date on the progress. So I'm going to try to make some progress today, and we'll see where we end up today. I get excited about these projects. I don't know. I am creative. I am artistic. I do have a good mind for, figuring things out and just using common sense on how to do things. And it always amazes me how I can do different things with just the small amount of equipment that I have. I can usually figure out how to get it done one way or another, and I think that's pretty cool in itself. When I'm working out in my shop, I put my stereo system on up there and play some nice music while I'm working. Of course, when the power equipment's running, you can't hear it anyways, but in between, when I'm figuring stuff out, I have some nice relaxing music to listen to. But I'm always thinking, and I always come up with something on my mind. But I was thinking in the past about the people that have wronged me, the people that have done things that have really angered me or irritated me, that have gone totally against my grain. People that have hurt me deeply, with maybe things they said or things that they did. And when I consider that, a lot of times it's the first thing you want to do is hold a grudge. You hold that discontentment in your heart, and you just, it's like, ugh. That guy really did me wrong, and I'm never going to forgive him for that. And, you hang on to that, and it just eats at you, and years go by, and every once in a while you'll think about that person again, and you'll be like, that guy, if I ever see him again, And, really, when you think about it, what does that actually do? I mean, you're holding that ire, that anger, you're holding that discontentment about that person, but that person has no idea what's on your mind. They're probably just off living their life, not even thinking a thing about it. So the only person that's really hurting is you. Me, myself. That's the only person that's hurting, because I keep that inside. When we do something wrong and we wrong someone, it's not easy to apologize and say, look, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I've had to do that quite a few times in my life, and even sometimes when I had to consider that I really didn't feel like I was in the wrong, but you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and apologize anyways, and I'm going to say I'm sorry because I want it behind me. I don't want to deal with it anymore. It's not worth going through life fighting about, you know. I just say, look, I'm sorry. I'll take responsibility. I'll take the blame. I didn't mean to, if not anything else, I didn't mean to anger you or to hurt your feelings or to cause you, you know, problems. I apologize. So it's one thing to apologize to somebody, but I think it's even more difficult to forgive somebody. You know, when you hold that thing in your that says I'm never going to forgive that person for what they did to me. It's awful hard for you to break down and say, look, I know what you've done. I know that it angered me. I know that it caused me a whole bunch of trouble down the road. Um, it hurt me deeply, but I forgive you. And that's really hard to do. But when you do that, when you forgive somebody, when you say, look, let's let bygones be bygones, I'm going to put it behind me, that burden is gone. It's off your chest. You've forgiven them. It's done. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You know, you can do everything to change the future, the way things are going ahead of you, to change today. But you can't do anything to change what happened in the past. You're not going to make it any better. Some people look for revenge. They think they're going to make it right by getting revenge. In the long run, what do? They just end up causing more grief for themselves. I mean, some people take it to extremes, as you know. We've seen violence, we've seen murder, we've seen, you know, arson and different things, road rage, things that happen that, you know, you think you're getting back at that person, but really you're only hurting yourself because those things never turn out well. They never turn out well. So I guess my best advice is to encourage you to, you know, if you've got somebody that you hold a grievance against, somebody that's wronged you, somebody that's really hurt you, just forgive them. Get it over with. Just say, look, I know what you did. I didn't like what you did, but I forgive you. Does this mean that I have to actually go to that person and verbally say, excuse me, can we talk for a minute? You know, I just wanted to say I forgive you for what you did to me. Maybe in some situations I think that would be okay, but I don't know that I would recommend it for everything, because there are some people that if I went to and said that to, please forgive me, I'm not quite sure they would take it so well, because they may still think that they were in the right all along, and by you saying I forgive you would almost kind of throw the heat back on them again, like it was your fault, but I forgive you. You know what I'm saying? So you may have to use some judgment in that. I think if we could just, you know, ask the Lord to forgive us, though, and to forgive that person, and just pray about it, that, you know, we can get that off of our chest. I think one of the greatest verses in the Bible is the forgiveness that the Lord gives us. I mean, we're all sinners and we all don't deserve anything. But in 2 Chronicles 7:14, it says, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sins and heal their land. That's a pretty cool verse. I mean, just to think your land will be healed if you just trust in the Lord. There's a lot of verses in the Bible about forgiveness. I mean, you know, if we go to the Lord, He's very willing to forgive us right now and redeem us of anything we've ever done that is evil or bad. We're forgiven. But for us to forgive others, there's a lot of verses in the Bible that cover that. And I think the Bible is a good guideline for life, in retrospect. In Colossians 3:13, it says, "Bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgives you." When you do that, your life is blessed. And I don't know if you ever feel blessed, if you have any blessings. I feel blessed. I feel overwhelmed with blessings. I just have that feeling in my heart that everything's good and that everything I see around me is a blessing. I mean, this property that I have, everything that I have is a blessing, and I don't take it for granted 1 minute. The talents that God gave me is a blessing, and just the joy that He puts in my heart is a blessing. That I don't have to grieve over the loss of my wife. I can go on living, and God fills all those needs in my life if I just look to Him. I encourage you to look to Jesus, especially those of you who are hurting in your times of strife, those who are dealing with sickness or pain, those who are going through emotional trauma, you lost loved ones. Look to Jesus, because He's there to give you peace and contentment and to really help you through this life and make it a whole lot easier and happier. Why do you continue to struggle with your life when, things can turn around overnight just by simply looking to the Lord and saying, "Lord, I believe in You, I trust in You, and I want to follow You." Well, thanks for following me, cats, and thanks for your support. I continue to pray for all of you, and continue to pray for me too. Thanks for watching. Till next time, cats. I'm going to get busy on my project, and I'll catch y'all later. Boy, oh boy, I'm making a lot of dust on my bike. I'm going to have to get busy with that when I'm done here too.